Today I'm going to tell you an interesting story about the life of St. John Chrysostom. St. John is also known as the patron saint of preachers and public speakers, and is also honored as the doctor of the church. He was born around the year 347 AD in the bustling city of Antioch. His mother, Anthusa, was a devout Christian and his father was a high-ranking military officer. After his birth, his father died, leaving his mother a widow and placing him under her care. With the help of his mother's connections, St. John got a good education. As he grew up, he was surrounded by Greek rhetorics and philosophers. He also studied under the most famous orator of his time called Libanus, of whom he learned Greek, arts, and literature. According to his account, Libanus once remarked that St. John could have been his successor, but he was a pagan worshipper, and St. John loved to follow the teachings of Jesus. In his 20s, he went to study theology under Diodorus of Tarsus, who founded the school of Antioch. Here, his knowledge about Christianity grew deeply, and after years of study, he became a hermit in 375 AD. He lived in solitude and spent most of his time in prayer, doing extreme fasting and reading the Bible. It was said that he was so committed to mastering the Bible that he read it again and again just so he could memorize it. This event deepened his connection to God, and after years of solitude, he then returned to Antioch, where his ministry began. He was then ordained as a priest, and his sermons began to draw crowds, not because people just wanted to listen to him, but because he was very bold in his words. His homilies were so profound and his eloquence so captivating that everyone who heard him was deeply moved, often leading some to repentance. Because of this, people began calling him Chrysostom, an honorary title that came from a Greek word which means golden-mouthed person. In 398 AD, St. John became the Archbishop of Constantinople, the most important city in the Roman Empire, where Emperor Constantine was residing. Here, he preached fiery sermons against the immorality of the imperial court officials. He also criticized the wealthy Christian elites for ignoring the poor and perpetuating inequality. He also reformed the clergy and the church discipline and bureaucracy. According to some historians, St. John made so many enemies, especially in the imperial courts, but no matter how much they hated him, they could not do anything about it because he talked in truth and honesty. In his entire life, St. John wrote over 700 expensive letters about morality, fasting, commentaries about the Gospels, sexuality, religions, and many others. These letters became a cornerstone of Christian theology and contributed to him being recognized as a doctor of the church. In his later life, St. John was exiled from Constantinople for boldly denouncing corruption in the imperial court, clergy, and aristocracy. This was because the successors of Emperor Constantine were known pagans and they hated his teachings. In his exile, he was forced to travel on foot across rough terrain in extreme weather. He collapsed from exhaustion in Pontus, and his last words were, "Glory be to God for all things." After his death, even his enemies regretted how St. John was mistreated. In 438 AD, his remains were brought back to Constantinople for a grand procession. Even the emperor himself bowed before his body